Hello, I'm Ken. Welcome to my newest YouTube channel, The Christian Way. I have a martial arts channel I've had for 14 years. I have a motorcycle channel. And I used to be an adjunct professor of religion at McMurray University from 2008 to 2013. And I quite often get questions all the time, either people where I've held ecumenical Bible studies, other Orthodox Christians, students when I had students, and I still get these questions, or from friends, about Christianity in general and Orthodox Christianity specifically. So a little bit about me. I grew up in many variety of Protestant denominations. My mom, at one time we were Presbyterian. That's when I was first sprinkled. I was in the 3rd grade. My mom also would attend my Uncle Jim's Baptist church sometimes. Matter of fact, her marriage to her second husband was there. My mom ended up converting to Seventh-day Adventism when I was approximately 12 years old in the 6th grade. And so I grew up in my teen years in Seventh-day Adventism. However, when I'd visit my dad and stepmom in California, she quite often attended a Baptist church, and so I would go sometimes to the Baptist church there. I was a pretty devoted Seventh-day Adventist as far as I went to church often. I, at the time, thought it was the most reasonable position theologically. Of course, I'm a teen, was involved in the seminars and retreats that they had. But by the time I was in my early to mid-20s, a theological shift was taking place. And as I studied more and I studied all the different worldviews and Christian denominations, I defaulted to being a Southern Baptist. My reasons for that, well, essentially, if I believe in the essentials of the Christian doctrine, and this video series will get into those undoubtedly at some point, then if I kind of keep my mouth quiet, I'm not really going to offend anybody, and I can be real conservative theologically on those doctrines and be okay. And the church I was attending at the time was a very good church, very good pastor, and so that became my default position. And then in the late 90s, I read a couple books, but one that was real formative for me, and I still read it once a year, by Luke Timothy Johnson, called Learning Jesus, Living the Heart of the Gospels. And it was a great book and really informed me. And so I knew a little bit about Catholicism, and I looked a little bit more into it and couldn't quite make that leap. As an undergraduate, I encountered the book The Orthodox Way by Callistus Ware. Somebody who was very informative for my life there at the time was a Dr. Philip LeMasters, became a great mentor, and I thought, boy, with this book, I need to go and see what's really going on here. Because of my encounters with Orthodox Christians in the military, while there was some, was still a little bit, a lot less than Catholics or other Protestants, a lot less than secular people. So I just kind of thought of them as like Catholic plus. You know, they are the 3-finger Christians, meaning they make the sign of the cross with these 3 digits instead of just 2, like I saw Catholics doing. And so I went to the church and I knew I was home. But that led to a road of being an inquirer, then a catechumen, and then being chrismated into the church in 2001. Like I said, I was an adjunct professor from 2008 to 2013. So I had an undergraduate degree, went on and got a grad degree, and I have been in love with Christianity my whole life. And in Orthodoxy, it's been a long journey. You have the first love when you convert, and then the life, the world seems to get in the way of the life like any other Christian. And then you kind of come back into, well, that's my first love. I want to be there more often. And so that's where I'm at now. But I've been getting a lot of questions lately and thought, particularly from a very good friend, thought, you know, maybe I should do a video series. I was often asked by my students, you know, I should do a podcast, to do a YouTube series, or put your lectures on film. This is my attempt to go ahead and discuss Christianity in general and Orthodoxy specifically. The channel will not just be about Orthodoxy. I think that becomes one of the problems, is when we have a channel that is just in its own little ghetto, for lack of a better word. You have, you know, the evangelical channels, the Catholic channels, the Orthodox channels. And not to mention, even though I may have degrees in religion and I minored in Greek. I think there's some Orthodox Christians who probably don't have that, who got channels that are better at describing orthodoxy than I am. So I'm trying to reach out to everybody, just not the non-church, but Christians of other practices and denominations, as well as Orthodox, and give a lot of information out there about Christianity. Sometimes my perspective will be academic, and other times my perspective will be thoroughly Orthodox, and I'll try to always distinguish that for the audience. Come on this journey with me. If you have questions, please put them in the comments. Always preach the gospel with gentleness and respect. And so please have fun, ask questions, and I hope you like it. Thank you very much.